Today we're going to be solving the longest common prefix problem on LeetCode. It's LeetCode number 14. So the problem here is we're supposed to write a function to find the longest common prefix string amongst an array of strings. And if there's no common prefix, we just return the empty string. So an example they give is for an input string array of flower, flow, and flight, the longest common prefix is FL, because each of these strings begins with FL in common. The prefix couldn't be, for example, FLO, because flower begins with FLO and flow begins with FLO, but flight begins with FLI, so that can't work. Another example they give is for a string array dog, race car, car. There is no common prefix, they all begin with different letters, and so the output is just an empty string. And one helpful constraint they give is that the string array can only contain lowercase English letters. How do we go about solving this problem? Well, since we're given an array, it's pretty clear we'll have to iterate along the array, checking some common prefix against each entry. And it's also pretty clear that this prefix should be initialized using the first entry. And now you could go about doing this in two ways. The first way could be to just grab the F from this first entry and check it against flow and then flight. And since that works, then add the L in, check FL against flow and flight, and then add the O in for flow. And when that doesn't work on flight, then return the FL. But there's a much more efficient way to do that. And that's by initializing prefix as flower, just initializing it as the entire first entry, and then moving along, and any letters that don't match each following entry get shaved off. So if flower is a prefix, once you reach flow, then this ER doesn't work anymore. So now the common prefix is flow, and once you reach flight, then the OW gets shaved off because that doesn't match IGHT, leaving FL, which is what's returned. What would this look like in code? So I've got the solution coded up over here, and we're going to run it through with an example so it makes more sense. So taking a string array as a parameter, in this example, that array is going to be ABC, ABA. The first thing we're going to do within the code is just check if this array has a length of 0, we just return the empty string because an empty array is going to have no common prefix. The next step, we initialize prefix to be the first entry in this array, strings of 0. So in that case, we're going to initialize prefix to be ABC, so prefix equals ABC. Next up, we move into a for loop that starts at the next entry in the array, I equals 1, and then goes through each entry in the array starting from there. So within this for loop, we're going to run a while loop that checks index of prefix, and we're asking if that equals 0, because if index of prefix equals 0, then we know that this entry contains that prefix. Anything other than 0, then we need to adjust the prefix until it does contain it. And so what we do is, as long as this string does not contain the prefix, we shave a letter off that prefix using substring. And what this while loop and for loop in effect does is move through each entry in this array, shaving down the prefix until each entry has this prefix in common. Let me show you what this looks like using this example. So starting with the prefix ABC and starting the for loop on the entry AB, we ask AB.index of prefix. So does AB contain the prefix ABC? No. So we take a substring, 0 to prefix.length minus 1. So we shave the C off ABC, and now the prefix is AB. Now we run the while loop condition again. Does AB contain the prefix AB? Yes. So we skip over into the next iteration of the for loop. Now we're on A. Does A have the prefix AB? No. So we shave a letter off the end of AB to make the prefix A. Now we ask, does A contain the prefix A? Yes. So the while loop exits and the for loop exits since we have gone through each entry in this array. And then we return the prefix A. Now, if the last entry in this array was something like Y, then this while loop condition would execute again since Y doesn't contain the prefix A, and then we'd shave A down to the empty string at which point the while loop would exit because each string contains the prefix of the empty string, and then we would return the empty string. So let's run this and see what we get. As you can see, we get a very efficient solution.